The Ahnenerbe was a think tank in Nazi Germany between 1935 and 1945. It was created by Heinrich Himmler, Reichsfuhrer SS, one of the most evil and powerful men in Adolf Hitler's cabinet. Himmler would later go on to be the architect of the Holocaust. In the film series Indiana Jones, SS archaeologists go on expeditions to find holy relics that have the power of God imbued in them, such as the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. These are films meant to entertain, but they are based upon real historical events. Why did the Nazis fund major expeditions all over the world to find relics? How did they plan to rewrite history and use the occult to suit their agenda? How did their interpretation of history support the Holocaust?
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former soldier, Marine Corps Scout Sniper, history professor, historian and book author, and we will answer these questions and other issues on this segment of Forgotten History.
According to SS Obergruppenführer or Lieutenant General Karl Wolff, quote, Hitler and Himmler had this fascination with the origins of civilization, primarily the Aryan influence. This included languages, science, architecture, literature, and the concept of government. We Aryans were supposed to be the superior race, the creators of culture, and to prove that theory to the world, the research was created and expeditions were sent out all over the world. In 1933, Himmler created the Nordic Academy to educate and indoctrinate newly commissioned SS officers. Himmler, being a firm believer in the occult, hired the well-known occultist Karl Maria Willigut, whom many considered a charlatan. Willigut joined the SS, later becoming a Brigadeführer, or Major General. Joining him were Herman Wirth, a scholar of ancient religions and symbols, and Richard Walther Darré, the Reich Minister of Food and Agriculture. Willigut was a self-proclaimed modern-day Nostradamus, whom Hitler, Himmler, Goering, Goebbels, and others employed on occasion to read their fortunes. Again, according to Wolff, quote, Himmler followed his advice and established Wewelsburg Castle in Westphalia as his headquarters. Wewelsburg would also be the epicenter for SS operations, including research, museum, and ceremonies, end quote. Renovations to the castle were made to fit Himmler's needs, and he hired architect Herman Bartels to remodel the place. One of the additions was the Grail Room, with a rock crystal placed on a pedestal until the actual Grail itself could be found. The castle also had a private museum at the castle annex managed by archaeologist Wilhelm Jordan. Soon, the looted treasures of Europe would be brought there to be placed on display. Along with the Holy Grail, the Spear of Destiny, soon to be in Hitler's hands in 1938 when he had taken it from the museum in Vienna, would be joined by other objects of Aryan cultural value. Ironically, while Himmler was looting museums for artifacts, Reich Marshal Hermann Goering was actively working on looting Europe's art museums to steal classical art, especially paintings by the old masters, for his personal collection. In 1937, the Ahnenerbe was renamed the Research and Teaching Community of the Ancestral Heritage. The Ahnenerbe scholars loosely interpreted and even fabricated evidence to fit into Himmler's and Hitler's beliefs. They sent out various expeditions all over the world intent on finding evidence of the ancient Aryan civilization. One of their determinations was that Aryan civilization had been destroyed by Untermenschen, or subhuman types. This insane theory fit in nicely with the Nazi propaganda claiming that Jews and others were the poison in modern societies. In fact, when young SS officers who were being specifically selected and trained for work in the concentration and death camps, and yes, there was a difference between the two, this ideology was part of their training. Attempting to explain the lack of any archaeological or historical evidence for an ancient and advanced Nordic civilization, Herman Wirth claimed, without any evidence, that Aryans had evolved in the Arctic 2 million years ago. It was from there they established their advanced society in the North Atlantic, which had since sunken into the sea, thus creating the stories about the lost city of Atlantis. Initially, there were two departments within the SS handling archaeology, and Himmler appointed Wolfram Sievers as the General Secretary of the Ahnenerbe, while Himmler himself eventually became the president. In 1935, Himmler contacted a Finnish nobleman and author, Eero von Grönhagen. An expedition traveled to meet with and interview and film and record the storytellers of the Sami people. They still believed in mysticism and shamanism, and their tales of folklore followed the beliefs of Hitler and Himmler. They were of the opinion that due to these stories and traditions, the Arctic region was the Nordic race location for origination and created the great civilizations and language. It was already well established in the academic world that the two oldest scripts were those of Mesopotamia and Egypt, and that Northern Europe only developed literacy using an alphabet of Nordic runes, possibly due to the influence of the Etruscans between 400 BCE and 50 CE. The fact that Hebrew was a written language for thousands of years was quietly dismissed as Jewish propaganda or stolen knowledge from the ancient Aryans. In 1937, the Ahnenerbe sent archaeologist Franz Altheim and his wife, the photographer Erika Trautmann, to Val Camonica to study prehistoric rock inscriptions in Italy. The two returned to Germany, claiming that they had found traces of Nordic runes on the rocks, supposedly confirming that ancient Rome was founded by Nordic incomers. In 1937, again, Himmler decided that he would increase his credibility by using Hans Friedrich Karl Gunther, a well-known German writer and advocate of scientific racism and eugenics. Gunther was also a friend and devotee of American Margaret Sanger. Gunther's claims that early Aryans had conquered much of Asia, including China and Japan, in approximately 2000 BC, were looked at with skepticism, and he provided no evidence. They even claimed that Gautama Buddha was himself an Aryan offshoot of the Nordic race. Dr. Walther Wust, the rector at the University of Munich, later expanded on this theory. His PhD thesis was on the connection between Germanic mythology, history, and comparative societies. Wust stated in a public speech that Adolf Hitler's ideology mirrored that of the Buddha, as both men had a common heritage. Among the presents Himmler presented to Hitler on his 50th birthday, one was a set of leather-bound books, and one of these was the record of the Ahnenerbe research. In June 1943, 27-year-old Untersturmführer, or Lieutenant Dr. Heinz Brücker, who held a PhD from Tübingen University in botany, was tasked with an expedition to Ukraine and Crimea. SS Hauptsturmführer, or Captain Konrad von Rauch, and an interpreter identified as Steinbrecher were also involved in this expedition. On July 29, 1943, the Royal Air Force's firebombing of Hamburg led Himmler to order the immediate evacuation of the main Ahnenerbe headquarters out of Berlin. The collection was moved to Schloss Oberkirchberg near Ulm, while the staff was moved to the village of Weissenfeld near Bayreuth in Bavaria. In February 1945, Brücker was ordered to destroy the Ahnenerbe's 18 active research facilities to avoid their capture by the Soviets. Due to the connection with their eugenics program and the Holocaust, many of the files would have incriminated them in the coming war crimes trials. Brücker refused to destroy historical artifacts, and he managed to escape, and after the war, continued his work as a botanist in Argentina and Trinidad. Given all the time and expense regarding the program, what did the Nazis actually obtain for their efforts? Other than a pseudo-scientific indoctrination program to convince their own people of going along with a ludicrous genocide program and rewriting their history, what purpose did it serve? The answer is simply that Himmler and others were so desperate to prove the superiority of the Aryan race, they were willing to go to any lengths, even fraud, to prove their case. But we did get some good movies out of it.
We hope you enjoyed this segment of Forgotten History. Please click like and subscribe for free. And please stay tuned and be engaged and informed. Send us comments if you have questions or even show ideas, and we will respond to all requests and comments as soon as we can. Thank you.